Hey, today is National Napping Day. Yes, that's right, it's National Napping Day here in the US. So, without any further ado, oh, the Daily Dope is in the air. The Daily Dope is in the air. Huh? What? Howdy, gang. Jeff McAleer once again, and I am the host here at The Daily Dope, as well as the Grand Poobah of the GamingGang.com. All right, today is Monday, March 12th. Welcome aboard. Brand new week. We get to start rolling along here. And pretty quiet on the news side today. I was a little surprised. Although there were a few things popping around that just didn't spark my interest, I guess I shall say. And there are a few things that I will actually kind of tackle a little off topic. Anywho, welcome aboard. If this is the first time you've joined me, thanks for stopping by and giving a watch. The Daily Dope is actually available Monday through Friday. So I do want to mention that originally on Friday's show, I was talking about how I was going to do a review today for Tokyo Ghoul, the card game from Shinobi 7, Ninja Division, and Funimation. And I am not doing a review of this today, simply because we've tried to play this, and I don't know if, for one, the rules aren't written very well, and this game takes far too long for what it is. I don't know if we're playing it wrong or not. So I have been trying to track down some frequently asked questions and things like that. I have not found anything. So we are going to give this another shot over the weekend, see if we can figure out what is going on with this, because I don't want to necessarily give it a bad review and then find out we've been playing it wrong all this time. So that is not going to be on the agenda today. So what I thought I would do is have a special treat for all the wargamers out there who tend to watch the Daily Dope on Wednesdays for Wargame Wednesday, and actually do a double dip this week of GMT Games goodness, because I did receive the 2 expansions for Main Battle Tank designed by James M. Day. So I thought, you know what? We're going to do one of the unboxings on Wednesday. But today, I am going to do an unboxing for Main Battle Tank, British Army of the Rhine. So this is going to introduce the British forces into the hypothetical World War III of the late 1980s. That is the main gist of MBT, or Main Battle Tank. So I'm going to be taking a look at that in just a little bit. I have a review today. It's going to be a little different because it's actually for a PC game. But I thought, since I'll have some wargamers tuning in for today's show, or they'll watch the rendered stream later on YouTube and possibly Twitch, I am going to share my review of a game called Nantucket, which is a semi-historical whaling game set in the 1820s is when it starts, and it's kind of a sequel to Moby Dick. It's pretty wild. So I'll be talking about that in just a little bit. Before I jump into the news, I do want to let you know that there is chat available. It's available both on Twitch as well as YouTube. It is not on screen because that's how I kind of keep the trolls at bay. But if when I'm taking a look at MBT, British Army of the Rhine, and you want to see a closer look, or if you have a question, feel free to chime in. Just want to say hello, and just have any old thing to pop in and just chime in on, feel free. I will certainly, point that out, give you a little recognition, and take it from there. Anyway, so there is some news. I had one news piece pop right before I was finishing up my news gathering for the morning. So I'm going to lead off with that. There was something really cool that popped up about 15 minutes ago. And of course, by that point, I don't have time to put slides and search down info and that. But it is Dungeons and Dragons related. So I will be talking about that tomorrow once I get the dope on that. Anyway, let's move on into the news for the day, as little of it as there is. There is another trilogy that Renegade Game Studios is going to team up with Garphill Games, which honestly, I always thought it was Garphill, but no, it is not Garphill, it's Garphill. And I've got the dope on the first title, Architects of the West Kingdom. Architects of the West Kingdom is set at the end of the Carolingian Empire. That's not something I'm completely familiar with. In fact, I'm not familiar with that at all. Anyway, it is circa 850 AD. As royal architects, players compete to impress their king and maintain their noble status by constructing various landmarks throughout his newly appointed domain. Players will need to collect raw materials, hire apprentices, and keep a watchful eye on their workforce. These are treacherous times. Rival architects will stop at nothing to slow your progress. Will you remain virtuous or be found in the company of thieves and black marketers? Yes. I think I would probably end up with the black marketers. The aim of Architects of the West Kingdom is to be the player with the most victory points at the game's end. Points are gained by constructing various buildings and advancing work on the Archbishop's Cathedral. Sort of like, now I can't think of the title of the book series by Ken Follett. Duh. Yeah, actually, I do recall watching the miniseries of it. It was actually pretty good. But yes, I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, throughout the game, players will need to make a lot of moral decisions. However, only at the game's end, will their virtue be judged. A few underhanded deals here and there might not seem like much, but fall too far and you will be punished. The game ends once a set number of constructions have been completed. The game features the West Kingdom adventure with beautiful artwork and great quality components. Become an ambitious royal architect to impress the king by building notable landmarks in the kingdom, one of which I see as a dungeon. It is the first standalone game in the West Kingdom trilogy. It's an exciting worker placement strategy board game for 1 to 5 players, ages 12 and up. The game will play in about 60 to 80 minutes and will carry an MSRP of $50 when it arrives. Unfortunately, a little far out this October. I dig how it's got the same sort of artwork as Raiders of the North Sea series of games. The North Sea, I guess it is a trilogy, although there's a bunch of expansions for it too. So looks like this could be interesting. Yes. All right, but that is a ways out. So let's talk about something that's available right now, because the classic role-playing game Torg has returned by way of Ulisses Spiele, and I have a little bit of dope on Torg Eternity. The invasion of Earth told in previous tales of Torg took place on one version of our world. The High Lords there were successful for many years, but were eventually stopped by the planet's valiant Storm Knights. But there are infinite versions of our world. This is the tale of a different Earth, one where things did not go as well. The Torg Eternity core rules include all the rules and setting information you need to create characters and play the game, including a background on the Possibility Wars, World laws and adversaries for core Earth and the 7 invading cosms, creation and advancement rules with dozens of perks for all kinds of characters, magic, miracles, and psionics rules, gear for all tech levels. The game also promises fun and dynamic combat, characters which feel heroic, and I would say that because it takes place on Earth, players will have a connection to the game as opposed to just sort of a kind of completely different sort of game setting. Anyway, it seems like this is a lot of pulp, fantasy, noir, sci-fi, and modern day all mashed together. And it does look pretty cool. I am somewhatly familiar with the original Torg, but you can score this brand new 280-page core rulebook through DriveThru RPG in PDF for $24.99. If memory serves correctly, and I might be going out on a limb here a little bit, but when Torg originally came out, and we're talking, gosh, it's probably about 27 years ago. It's quite a ways back. But when it came out, it was pretty popular. It was pretty big. And it came out right about the same time as Rifts came out from Palladium. We're not talking about Palladium and their Robotech fiasco. But anyway, Torg was pretty popular and then just, I don't know, kind of fizzled. And I had always heard some really good stuff about the system. Now, Ulisses Spiele already does the Dark Eye in the US. Now, granted, they have not released all the Dark Eye materials because that's a German RPG, but a lot more of it is becoming available here in the US, especially in PDF. And that is a pretty cool system. I have peeked at it a little bit because if you remember, I am doing this kind of mashup fantasy kit bashed game for my best friend Elliot Miller, my nephew Cameron, and some of Cameron's friends. And I did take a peek at the Dark Eye. It was just a little too crunchy for what I was looking to do, but pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to take a wild stab that Torg Eternity is going to be pretty cool as well. And you can actually take a peek at the PDF on DriveThru RPG. There is a lot of info at the Ulisses Spiele US website, which you see the link is right below the images that are flashing past. So check it out. They have done a lot of designer diary stuff. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. Anyway, my third news piece is from Pandasaurus Games because they've launched a Kickstarter for an expansion to Dinosaur Island, as well as an opportunity to get Dinosaur Island for less than, like $250. Already open, punched, played on the secondary market. Plus, you have the ability to get Dualisaur Island, which is coming soon. So I've got the dope about the Kickstarter. Dinosaur Island is the product of an insanely successful Kickstarter last spring. We were lucky to have the backing of over 6,000 awesome fans worldwide. We released Retail Edition in late 2017, and then something unexpected happened. It sold out instantly and started going for ridiculous prices on the secondary market. See, I wasn't kidding. It is ridiculously priced right now. Then our backers started raving about the game online. Tom Vassell of the Dice Tower named it one of his top 5 games of 2017, and we were awarded with 4 Golden Geek nominations, including Strategy Game of the Year, Thematic Game of the Year, Best Artwork and Presentation, and Overall Game of the Year. That's saying something, folks. It's been a wild ride for Dino Island since it was first unleashed on the world just months ago. Dinosaur Island has been sold out since about the moment it went on sale, and we've heard the constant calls to make the Kickstarter exclusives from the last campaign available again. And we've been listening. Although that wouldn't make them exclusives anymore now, would they? In Dinosaur Island, players will have to collect DNA, research the DNA sequences of extinct dinosaur species, and then combine the ancient DNA in the correct sequence to bring these prehistoric creatures back to life. Dino cooking. All players will compete to build the most thrilling park each season, and then work to attract and keep alive the most guests each season that the park opens. Do you go big and create a pack of velociraptors? They'll definitely excite potential guests, but you better make a large enough enclosure for them, and maybe hire some, read a lot of security, or they will break out and start eating your guests. And we all know how that ends. You could play it safe and grow a bunch of herbivores, but then you aren't going to have the most exciting park in the world. Sad face. So maybe buy a roller coaster or two to try and attract guests to your park the good old-fashioned way. There is a video for the new Kickstarter. Like I said, there's a lot going on in this Kickstarter. I believe the Kickstarter itself is kind of considered to be for the expansion, which will add a 5th player, and it's called Dinosaur Island, what is it? Liquid something? I forget. Anyway, check out the video. The video does run about 6.5 minutes. Oh, totally liquid. Dinosaur Island, totally liquid. Anyway, it does run about 6.5 minutes. So, of course, if you're watching live, by all means, if you have no interest, go make a sandwich, go grab something to drink. Hey, take a quick nap. It's National Napping Day. And of course, if you're watching this later on, you can always just skip ahead about 6.5 minutes. But I do have to point out, this video does open up pretty funny because there's kind of an homage to late 1980s, early 90s game commercials which begin the proceedings. So kick back and take a peek at the new Kickstarter from Pandasaurus Games.
You thought it was dead, but Dinosaur Island is back from extinction.
Whoa, yeah!
The award-winning board game that lets you build your own dinosaur theme park returns.
You guys don't stand a chance.
Research dino DNA, hire specialists, make dinosaurs, and entice visitors. But be careful. The bigger your park grows, the harder it is to contain your dinosaurs.
Oh man, a Giganosaurus just ate 4 visitors!
All your favorite specialists, plot twists, and wild attractions return.
Yes, I just got the Chaos Theorist.
Well, I just opened a clever grill.
And now, for the first time ever, Dinosaur Island features 5-player mode. Don't have any friends? Don't worry, Dinosaur Island still has a solo mode. Already own Dinosaur Island?
Yeah.
Well, how about the new Totally Liquid expansion set, or a brand new 2-player game called Ulisses Island? Now there's 3 great ways to play Dinosaur Island. Order your copy of Dinosaur Island, Dinosaur Island Totally Liquid Expansion, or Ulisses Island today. Each sold separately from Pandasaurus Games.
It's Dino-tastic.
Hey y'all, I'm Molly, and this is Nathan from Pandasaurus Games, and we're bringing Dinosaur Island back from extinction.
Yeah, Dinosaur Island is a game that came out in the last days of 2017 from a Kickstarter last year, and thank all of you so much for helping make it possible. In the short time it's been out, it's been rocketing up the Board Game Geek all-time game rankings list. Tom Bassel from the Dice Tower named it one of his top games of 2017, and we just found out that we were nominated for 4 Golden Geek Awards: Game of the Year, Strategy Game of the Year, Thematic Game of the Year, and Best Artwork Presentation.
And we need your help making Dinosaur Island even more awesome with Dualosaur Island and the 5-player expansion, Totally Liquid.
But before we get to that, let's talk about the question we've been getting the most often. Yes, if you missed the first Kickstarter, we will have a brand new Dinosaur Island Extreme Edition that will have all of the goodies that you missed from the last Kickstarter.
Dualosaur Island is a standalone 2-player game by Ian Moss and developed by John Gilmer.
Duelosaur Island is a game that's built on the back of tense decisions. Each round is going to start by the player who's first in turn order rolling the DNA dice like you would in Dinosaur Island. The wrinkle here is you're going to be assigning modifiers to those dice. So if you really need orange DNA to help make a dinosaur, you might want to assign it a 3x multiplier so that you can get more of the DNA you need. The wrinkle is your opponent is actually going to choose the DNA first. So you run the risk of giving the die you need a good modifier. You may entice him to take what you want. So maybe you want to assign it something a little bit worse, knowing that you're going to take a penalty, but you'll get the DNA you need. It's a really, really cool decision. On top of that, it's a card-driven game, and each card has two functions. The top of the card shows a dinosaur recipe. Building a dinosaur is going to add to your excitement level, which is ultimately going to attract guests to the park, which is how you win the game. But if you build the attractions that are located on the bottom of the card, they're going to increase your income, and they're going to increase your hand limit, and they're going to make it easier to make harder dinosaurs later in the game.
Right, so every card's a decision. Do you build dinos to increase excitement, or do you decide instead to get attractions and hope for a big payoff at the end? One of the coolest things about Duelosaur Island is these DNA dice. They're completely unique to this game, but they can be integrated with the base game and vice versa.
And that brings us to the big reveal. Dinosaur Island Totally Liquid expansion.
This game has been in development for a year, and hundreds of people have play tested it and told us what they wanted to see differently to make this expansion the best it could be.
And here we are. So we have water dinos, which operate completely differently from the dinosaurs that you saw in the base game. They have different attributes, and they're going to break a lot of the rules that you're accustomed to seeing last time around.
And there's a special park board that adds a second island to the game. This island adds special mechanics and unique abilities that no other player has.
Right, like the goat farm, where you can raise goats to feed to dinosaurs so they don't eat your guests, or the egg incubator, which is going to give you a completely new way to make dinosaurs in your park. It takes a lot less DNA, but a lot more time.
But did you tell them about the dinosaur water park?
Where you actually get to train an aquatic dinosaur to do tricks like Shamu.
Or my favorite, the baby dino petting zoo.
But not only do you get a park extension board that's going to give each player unique mechanics that operate like a little mini game that only you can play, you're also going to get a special executive worker meeple that's going to be unique just to your park. They are going to let you break a lot of the rules in the game and do things that other players can't. And this combination of an executive worker that gives you your own unique abilities and the mini game that you're going to be playing on your park extension board is going to create endless replayability and endless strategy over what you saw in the base game.
So, please help us bring Dinosaur Island back from extinction and make the Totally Liquid expansion a reality.
Along with the two-player standalone game, Duelosaur Island, and of course, helping us unlock lots of stretch goals, new specialists, new plot twists, new dinosaur recipes.
Oh, and I'm forgetting something. Lots and lots of new dinosaur meeples.
So thanks so much for checking out the video. Please spend some time on our campaign page so you can learn more about the games. And please consider helping us bring Dinosaur Island back from extinction.
I had to laugh because in the commercial, right, you've got people who are obviously in their late 20s, some of them are in their 30s. Anyway, but I thought that was kind of funny. So did you get all of that? I mean, there was plenty there, right? So if you don't already have the core game, this Kickstarter gives you a lot of different options. So you can actually just get the core game Dinosaur Island with all the unlocked stretch goals for that and some of the premium components that were from the previous Kickstarter for $85. There's also a pledge level for the standalone Duelosaur Island plus the core game for $110, or you can get all three. So that's Dinosaur Island, Duelosaur Island, as well as the Dinosaur Island Totally Liquid expansion for $150. And of course, the expansion alone, I think the expansion alone is $45 for the pledge. Of course, this is already completely funded. I believe it launched today. And it's about, 900% funded right now. So you're in pretty good shape for this seeing the light of day. And the project does run through April 20th. I have to say, because I know there are folks out there who will be thinking, okay, $85 for a core game? I don't know. Well, keep in mind, on the secondary market, it's going anywhere from about $190 punched and played to about $275 punched and played. So you're saving some money there. So I do not have any sort of relationship with Pandasaurus Games. They're not telling me, hey, Jeff, here's a few bucks to talk about our Kickstarter and give it a thumbs up or anything like that. But I do have to point out, everybody I have heard from who has played Dinosaur Island says it's a blast, really good game. It is for ages 8 and up. Plays in, I think, about an hour and a half or so, 90 to maybe 120 minutes. So the way I kind of look at it is a core game for $85, even if it's not with miniatures and things like that. If it's a game you end up playing a lot, then it's well worth the investment, because if you are a gamer, you have been burned many times purchasing a game for, say, $40 or $45. You buy a couple of them and both of them disappoint you, and you play them a couple of times, and the rest of the time they're sitting collecting dust on your shelf. So I do want to say this is a pretty fair price, in my opinion. Maybe a smidge high, little bit. But then again, I don't know. I haven't seen the Kickstarter exclusive that they did. I know there's metal coins and things like that in it. Special meeples, what have you. I don't know. But if you do not have Dinosaur Island and I did a news piece about Dualisaur Island, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. It seems like your best bet would go and get all three for $150. Seems like you'll save some money. Well, I know you'll save some money that way, but I think that's probably your best bet. Anyway, as I mentioned, kind of quiet on the news front, but there are a few other items I do want to talk about. I have not put together any sort of, slides and things like that for it. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, and I know this is making the rounds at a lot of different websites that do tabletop gaming news. There is a Kickstarter from River Horse that launched, I think that was today, for a Pacific Rim game. And I'll be the first to admit, the miniatures do look pretty cool. But, excuse me, let me grab a quick sip here. It's awfully dry today in the Duct Tape Studios. Something seems amiss. Now, I don't know anything about River Horse whatsoever. They kind of came out of nowhere. They did a Kickstarter for their Dark Crystal game. Was successful, took a while. I think it ran late coming out, but it did finally come out. And I'm told that the 4 miniatures in the game are pretty cool. They're pretty cool sculpts, but the game itself is a steaming pile. That it's basically just a roll and move, and there are little adventure cards and things like that. And I have also heard that the mechanics for you to actually win the game are broken, making it basically unplayable. Anyway, the thing that kind of strikes me as something seems amiss here is River Horse has this Pacific Rim Kickstarter that just launched. They've got a Highlander Kickstarter they've been floating images of the miniatures out about that is going to hit, from what I understand, right after the Pacific Rim Kickstarter ends. And to me, when a company does that, especially a company that's not well known, when they stack Kickstarters on top of each other, that to me is a red flag. Now, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from backing the Pacific Rim Kickstarter. The minis do look cool, I have to admit. Just I'm a little leery. So that is why I am not sharing news about this Kickstarter, just like A lot of other places are. Anyway, I have another piece of Kickstarter news, which when I tell you what it is, you'll be like, what? And then I'll explain. So, Night Models was going to launch their Harry Potter miniatures game Kickstarter on Wednesday. I'm telling you, it blew up the internet. I had thousands upon thousands of people coming and checking out the news piece and a little preview and that I did on the Gaming Gang for this Kickstarter. And people were just pumped. And they just couldn't get enough. And now, Night Models has canceled the Kickstarter. They are not going to have a Kickstarter for the Harry Potter miniatures game. No. But don't get a sad face yet, because they've actually decided that they're just going to do a pre-order. They are going to have you pre-order the game through their website. And for me, personally, I think that makes sense, because they've already seen the huge interest that this game has had. And once again, I don't know anything about Night Models, and I know they've got their DC game. They used to do a Marvel game with Marvel minis, and their miniatures are really, really nicely done. Pretty pricey, but they're very, very nicely done. Beautiful work. And if you saw the preview for the Harry Potter miniatures game, miniatures board game, I think it's called, those figures look stunning as well. So I will have news about the pre-order once it becomes available on Wednesday. But it is not going to be a Kickstarter. They are just going to go straight through production. They're not going to bother with that, 10% off the top that Kickstarter takes. It might even be more than that. So I will have news about that later on this week, and it does look really, really cool. I do not have any pricing info. I do not have anything along the lines of what the release date might be, and so on and so forth. Anyway, another thing I saw earlier today, which was kind of upsetting, was there's an article, and it's a very in-depth article over on, amazingly enough, the Daily Beast, talking about how Stan Lee is basically being taken to the cleaners by anyone and everyone, and he is surrounded by scam artists, and I couldn't believe they actually used the word mountebanks. So very, very depressing to be, you figure he's 95 years old. He's hanging in there, and from what I understand, according to this article and according to sources that the reporters used for this article, he and his daughter just get scammed left and right. So very, very sad to see something like that happen to, a legend in pop culture. I mean, without Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, people like that, where would comic books be, right? Look at the creators of Superman, right? Jeez, they did not have an easy ride. They didn't get ripped off as much as people like to make it out, but they certainly did not get the sort of money that they should have gotten. But according to this article, I guess the $10 million that Stan received during the Disney buyout of Marvel might be gone. So I don't know. That really sucks. I hate seeing stuff like that. But we had heard weird things going on regarding Stan Lee. So I don't know. Fingers crossed he straightens that up, or other people straighten that out for him, because that's just not something you like to see. I hate when you see elderly people being taken advantage of. That is just, it doesn't matter if you're Stan Lee, the person who lives down the street from you. That is just not right. All right, moving right along. I am actually going to do a PC game review. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, simply because I'm not necessarily known for PC game reviews. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, there's a PC game I've been playing that I really like. I think it's very cool. I want to share it with you. It's from a company. It's a small independent game company called Picaresque Studio, not Picturesque Studio, Picaresque Studio, and it's called Nantucket. and I am going to share a bit of information about the game. I'm going to show you the launch video, and then I'm going to talk about it. Nantucket is a strategy seafaring game set in the golden age of American whaling during the first half of the 19th century. The story takes place a few years after the disaster of the Pequod, where Captain Ahab and his crew lost their lives to Moby Dick. In the role of Ishmael, the only survivor of the Pequod, you will have to chase after the white whale again for redemption. Set sail and explore the seas. Set sail around the world, visit cities, and increase your prestige by hunting whales, landing jobs, and searching for new adventures. Be the captain you want to be. Develop your character in true RPG fashion by increasing your stats, choosing your reactions, and developing your seafaring skills. You can hire and manage your crew, give them tasks on your ship, and improve your ship with new compartments, expanding your ship's capabilities. Experience the golden age of whaling. Experience more than 1,000 unique events tailored around your choices and face the results of your actions. Hunt whales and fight pirates. Discover new whaling areas, hunt whales for blubber, and protect your ship from pirates using a turn-based combat system. Follow an original storyline and complete quests to unveil the secrets behind Moby Dick and dissolve Ahab's curse. Nantucket is available right now through Steam. It does carry an MSRP of $17.99, and I want to share the launch video. It's not even a minute. I think it's about a minute long. And then I'm going to review Nantucket.
Destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice.
And it's whoa, ho, down, ho, there she blows, my friend. Geek, clear away the boats. Kala, Colo, break your backbones, men. Whoa, ho, we drive the harpoons in, drive the harpoons in. Moby Dick swam the 7 seas. His skin was white as snow. Moby Dick took Captain Ahab's leg, and for that he'd surely pay. And for that he'd surely pay.
There she blows! Here I stand.
And for that he'd surely pay.
So have I piqued your interest? Anyway, I have been playing Nantucket, and I have got to say that I have been having, okay, here we go. I got to say it, a whale of a good time. Now, I will throw out this precursor and say that I am not someone who feels that there should be any whaling nowadays. I think it's a pretty disgusting and nasty and just horrifying business. And I'm sad to say there are still countries out there that do whale. But because this is kind of a semi-historical game, when you're out there and you're hunting the whales, okay, I don't feel so bad about it. Because it is very, very interesting. So the game itself, you start off and you are Ishmael, and you have a little ship. It's kind of a wreck. It's just a trash ship, and you have to go and recruit your crew from Nantucket. That's kind of your home port, and you set out and you go and search out whaling locations, and you will get jobs in the different towns and cities, and they may ask you to go investigate a possible whaling location, or they may ask you to go find out about the disappearance of another ship, or they may say, oh, we need you to transport some goods from here to another town or city. So it's not always whaling, although I have to point out, especially early on in the game, you do need to focus on that because that is where the cash is going to be coming in from. is from devoting your time to whaling and searching out these, these locations where they mate and things like that. So pretty cool. Then as you're sailing, and you'll see as some of the images rotate past, you'll actually mark locations on your map to sail off to. And of course, you have to have provisions. So you have to have water, you have to have food, you have to have grog to keep your crew happy. And then you'll also have the ability to get whale oil later on after you've killed whales. And then you have to have wood for repairs to the ship and all these various other things. So very, very cool. It's not super in-depth. It's not overwhelming with all the little different things that you have to do as far as when you set sail. I will point out one thing that kind of drives me nuts is hey, Robert Moffat's peeking in from work. Is it a War Game Monday? Hey, Robert. Oh, by the way, Robert, your game is on the way, and I've got an email for you for your PDFs that you won on our Patreon giveaway. It is sort of a War Game Monday, yes. I am actually going to unbox Main Battle Tank British Army of the Rhine today, and then I'm going to unbox the other MBT expansion on Wednesday. But right now, I'm talking about Nantucket. So anyway, so you set sail and different events pop up, and it's all different things. I've had sodomites on my ship, and it's sort of like, okay, so all right, me personally, okay, I don't care about that, but because of the era in like the British Navy, I think they used to hang people for sodomy, sailors for committing sodomy, which, nowadays is like, okay, who cares? Whatever people do, it's their own business. But within the game, then you have to figure out, okay, so what do you do? You'll have crew members like fall off one of the masts and shatter their leg, and if you have a scientist on board who's kind of a doctor, you might be able to save their leg. They may die. All these different things go on. And of course, your crew usually is not going to be the same crew as you continue to sail, because people will die off. I mean, I've had just random adventures where one of the crew members wants to go back home for something, and it's like, yeah, okay, we can make a stop there, and they go and they don't come back to the ship, and you go and find out that, well, they went home and found out their parents had died and then committed suicide, and you're like, all right, well, now I don't have a harpooner. It's like, what? There is just loads and loads of stuff going on, and this is a perfect game to spend about an hour every day. Although I gotta be honest, I was sinking loads of time over the weekend playing this, especially yesterday, because it's just a lot of fun. And there's different ways you can play. I'm playing Old Sea Dog, where it's permadeath, right? So if I can't jump back to a save and reload something when something goes wrong. So I'll give you an example. The actual combat is kind of dice and card based. So your different characters will be out in the whale boats, or possibly pirates could jump on your ship, or you could go onto a pirate ship. So there's a bit of a battle like that, but it all kind of plays the same. Your characters, your crew members will have dice, and each of the dice faces will represent a special ability, an ability that they have. And of course, early on, they only have 3 dice faces, including the captain, right? Including Ishmael, or you can rename Ishmael if you want. And everybody gets to roll a die, but in each whale boat, you only get to use one of the actions. So you may have 3 sharks attacking a whale boat, and you end up only getting 1 action. It's really cool how all of this stuff works. So anyway, just to kind of point out how just crazy and some, just bizarre randomness that can take place in this game. So I have my captain, because when you start off, you got a really small crew. You got a captain and you've got 3 other crew members, which is sort of silly, But I guess you can kind of look at it, yes, you've got other crew, but they're really just, nobodies. These are kind of the important people on your ship. So we're off in the rain trying to bring down this adult whale. And there's all different kinds of whales too. So anyway, it's raining, and all of a sudden we get there's like an event card that comes up every round. Sometimes it helps you, sometimes it helps the other creatures. Usually it's not good for you. And there's a lightning strike that just happens to hit Ishmael and kills him. It's like, game over. And I was like, blah, 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 what? But it is a lot of fun. And for $18, and it's available through Steam. That's how I got it. I think it's on the Humble Bundle store, or might be on GOG.com. For $18, it is packed with a lot of goodness, and it will really appeal to the historical gamers out there. Now, granted, there's a lot of abstraction to the game, but it is certainly one of these games where you really feel like there's a story unfolding. Even outside like the main quest, which is effectively Ishmael is going to hunt down Moby Dick to kill Moby Dick. Even outside of that, there's just a whole story that unfolds, and every time you're playing it, it's different. And these various different events pop up where you make different choices, and it's very reminiscent if anybody out there plays like Paradox games, such as Hearts of Iron or Crusader Kings 2 or Europa Universalis. You kind of know what I'm talking about, where you'll have different options of what you choose. How are you going to address this situation? How are you going to tackle this event? And a lot of times it's just, okay, so which flavor of bad am I going to take from this event? Very, very cool game. I really, really have enjoyed my time playing Nantucket. I'll be very honest, I have not gotten to the point where I have gotten Moby Dick. No, not yet. I have not invested that much time into it. So I don't really have any sort of end game synopsis for you. Not that I would anyway. I don't do spoilers. But I can't tell you, okay, is the ending a letdown, or is it like, yeah? I don't know yet. But I can tell you, working your way to that is a lot of fun. A few little items to toss in that maybe I wasn't so keen on is it's not intuitive. The tutorial, there's a little bit of a tutorial that you can play, but there are a few different things that it really doesn't explain, especially like assigning different characters, different crew to different areas of your ship, and prerequisites that you need to research and unlock to be able to get bigger and better ships, more crew, bigger holds, things like that. So that's a little bit of a knock. I did think it was kind of wild. All of a sudden you're sailing along, and all of a sudden there's these sailors singing shanties, and then it's like, what? It's like, what is that? So that's kind of cool too. So overall, I am giving Nantucket an 8.5 out of 10. Certainly well worth $18, $17.99 over on Steam or GOG or the Humble Store. So definitely check it out. Anyway, and there are plenty of videos out there with the gameplay and things like that if you want to get a better feel. All right, moving right along. I am going to do an unboxing for Main Battle Tank, British Army of the Rhine. So let's swing on over to the other camera here, see what's cooking. So if you are not overly familiar with Main Battle Tank, it was originally released by Avalon Hill, and it is designed by James M. Day. It is a 2-player game, and the focus is on armored vehicles, just like Mr. Day's Panzer, which amazingly enough, I think is one of the most viewed videos I've ever done on the Gaming Gang. Kind of weird. It was one of the first videos. I mean, it's from all the way back in, my gosh, when I lived in Arizona. But whereas Panzer tackles World War II, main battle tank is much more modern. So it is in the late 1980s. So this expansion is actually going to include NATO units from the British Army of the Rhine. And I will just kind of take a peek at the back of the box here and point out you need to have a copy of Main Battle Tank to be able to use this expansion or the other expansion I'm going to be taking a look at on Wednesday. So it does say BAOR expands the NATO forces focusing on the British Army of 1987, including are the Chieftain, Challenger 1, Warrior, Scimitar, Scorpion, Spartan, Striker, Lynx, AH-1 attack helicopter, Tornado GR-1 and Harrier GR-3 aircraft, and a number of other units including infantry and their various anti-tank weapons. The new map boards include unique terrain features including a motorway, power grid station, and a storage tank farm. The playbook outlines the table of organization and equipment for the British mechanized forces for the period. There are 10 scenarios showcasing the British Army and cover the range of action between Northern Army Group British Forces and Group of Soviet Forces Germany on the North German Plain. So as I mentioned before, Main Battle Tank is for it's for 2 players. You can have more than 2 players. It is considered to be a little higher on the medium complexity level for GMT Games, but it is about the same as far as solitaire suitability. So you're looking at, on a scale of 1 to 9, both of those are a 6. It is for ages 14 and up. It is available right now from GMT Games, and it carries an MSRP of $65. Let's get this on open and take a peek. Put that hobby knife away so I don't end up with it sticking in my arm somewhere. All right, hey. So anyway, speaking of GMT, I'm wondering what's cooking with Mr. President from GMT, because I know it is well past the. I know it's a P500, but it's usually about 750, 800 pre-orders before they go to press. I think it's over 1,600. So I'm kind of curious what's cooking with that. And I know my good buddy John Welsh did some work on an initial design for it. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of what he did is making it into the final product. Rats. But I am kind of curious about that game. Once it's on the release schedule, I will definitely get some news out about that. But anyway, let's talk about MBT BAOR. Oh, look, so it's kind of all zip-locked up here. Okie doke. Let's open this up. Here, as everything's off camera. Here, stare at this empty box. Wow, that is a fine empty box. All right, so we've got the maps. Got the unit cards. And we've got the counters. I think there's 3 counter sheets. Let's find out. Yep, just 3. Take a look at those in just a sec. And then we've got the playbook. Sweet. And of course, baggies for all the counters, like GMT likes to put into the boxes. So we've got the playbook, pretty good size. Got quite a bit to it. So I'm sure we're going to see some extra rules. We're going to see the scenarios. Probably get some historical information as well. So we've got an introduction talking about the units, terrain features. So there's the roadway, the power grid station, and the storage tank farm. Controlling objectives. Talking about the counters. Different leaders. Talking about the British Army of the Rhine, as well as the Soviet units in Germany, plus the US. There you go, order of battle. Organizational charts, I guess I should say. unit summary chart. That was for the Brits, and then we have the Soviets. Then we're going to move into the scenarios. And there are 10 in all. An initial strike, part 1, part 2, broad front, resource management, showing the various units for that scenario. Then we got Operation Market, not Operation Market Garden, just Operation Market. And of course, as I pointed out before, you do need to have main battle tank to use this expansion because you're going to have U.S. forces as well. And we've got Power Strike. Guessing that's maybe with the power plant. Another scenario, Operation Garden. Different date. Long run. Very nice. Got brush off. Many bridges to cross. So, in essence, the playbook isn't really giving us a lot of historical information. That is mainly in mainly in main battle tank. But it is the 10 scenarios and some special rules as well. So we've got that. Let's take a look at the counters. And of course, main battle tank is a game for folks who love armored vehicles and armored vehicle combat. That is the main focus of the game. Of course, infantry is modeled, is simulated as well. The main focus, of course, are on the main battle tanks. So taking a closer look at the counters here. And they are dual-sided. All right, so those are the Brits. Then we've got leaders. Various leaders there. Then we've got the infantry. We've got turret counters. Again, dual-sided on these as well. Oh, there's the aircraft. I was going to say, where's the NATO aircraft? There we go. All right, and then we're going to have some more Soviet forces. And then some informational markers. And dual-sided for that, too. If memory serves me correctly, I don't think the Brits were covered in the Avalon Hill edition of MBT. 99.9% positive that was not the case. I should also point out that if you are someone who's played Panzer, then MBT is pretty easy to wrap your head around. Very, very similar mechanics. Ah, come on. There we go. Trying to get these cards out. Okay. So we've got the unit cards. So here we see we've got, was it a chieftain? Yep, there's a chieftain. Challenger. So these are dual-sided, and you'll see all the information there. Like I said, both Panzer and MBT focus on the armored vehicle combat more so than really the detail that goes into the actual like armor penetration, things like that. It really does have kind of a miniatures game feel to it. Old school miniatures. Like I remember back in the day we played Tractics, which was World War II. Played a lot of that micro armor. Alright, got the Striker and the Spartan. Oops. There we go. The Ferret. Tracked Rapier. Very, very cool. Oh, artillery batteries. There we go. And the, what is it, a bridge layer chieftain for fording. The Tornado. And the Harrier. Alright, very cool. Yeah, quite a lot in here. Got the Scorpion and the Scimitar. The Warrior. I thought we were gonna have some Soviet cards. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this is all Brits and they were just adding some additional Soviet units for the scenarios. Oh, there's the Lynx. And then the Gazelle. Very, very nice. I have to admit, I have not played Panzer in quite a long time. Or actually, main battle tank. I just don't have those sorts of gamers locally that I can get in some of the, nitty gritty, traditional style war games. Although this actually, main battle tank is not, and Panzer are not real traditional hex and counter. A lot more detail to it than just simply having, oh, well, this is the attack factor, this is the defense factor, this is the movement factor, and so on. And we got some maps here. And these are dual-sided, and the maps they're not paper, they're almost on a cardstock. So they should hold up pretty well. So we've got this one here, this one here. Got another one here, this looks like a town. Town of some sort. So this is map 19, map 20. Map 21. Some hills. All right, here's that tank farm, that storage tank farm. So this is map 22. Oh, look, a golf course. I'm kidding. It's that golf course. It's got a forested area. Another hill over here. Oh, another town. What we got on the back? More ridges. Hills, ridges. Another town on this one. Looks like like an orchard or grove. Let's see what's on the back. All right, very nice. Giving you a lot more options as far as your battlefields with these. Very cool. Oh, there are 5 of them? 1 or 4? 1, 2, 4. All right, so we got the 4 maps. We've got the counters, and as you can tell, these are chunky size counters. These are larger counters. Of course, down here, these are even a little bigger too than traditional hex and counter war game counters. But as you can see, the vehicles are much chunkier. So we've got the 3 different counter sheets. We've got the data cards. There are 10? Yep, 10. So altogether, you've got 20 new units from the British Army of the Rhine. Got the baggy... Is there a die floating around in here? Thought there was supposed to be a 10-sided die. Did I yank it out, not thinking? Again, maybe I'm wrong. I was gonna say, why would you need dice in the expansion? Is it Drew Barbier? Says hello. Hello. Nice unboxing, Jeff. Hey, Harry Ryan's popping in. The tank, Harry Ryan, nice unboxing, Jeff. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I'm not like super up on modern style, and it's funny because I grew up during the Cold War. I mean, I was a kid sitting there watching The Day After, right, when the nukes fly. I have just not stayed well versed in 80s, 90s sort of material, right? But yes, Harry says those tank farms and power plant maps are interesting. Yeah, they did look pretty cool. They do look pretty interesting in here. What was the third? What was the third item here? Oh, a motorway. Is that what that other thing was? A motorway? Don't see that. And when they say motorway, are they talking about a racetrack or like the Autobahn? So that's what I'm kind of curious about. Take a look here. Yeah, so here was the storage tank farm again. Better look. Big hexes too, because of course you have to accommodate those bigger, chunkier counters. And then this was the power plant. I'm guessing this is the motorway? I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, it must be, because it's 2 lanes. Every other road is 1. This is kind of a 2-lane. Cool. Very cool. All right, so that is what we find when we take everything from MBT BAOR, or Main Battle Tank, British Army of the Rhine, outside the box. For those of you out there who are fans of Main Battle Tank, I do want to point out that on Wednesday, we will be looking at the French units in MBT FRG. So we are going to be able to take a look at... no, actually, it's not French. I think they're West German units. So, like I said, I am not all up on a lot of the more modern terminologies and things like that. I'm kind of like horse and musket. So, American Civil War is really my forte. So anyway, but on Wednesday, I will be taking a closer look at this. I will be doing an unboxing. So that's on Wednesday. If you're curious what else is coming up this week, I am going to do a review tomorrow for a pretty small card game from White Wizard Games. It is Epic Card Game. If you caught my review for Hero Realms, we really dug Hero Realms. That was a lot of fun. And it's a little similar, but a lot different. So I will have a review of this tomorrow. On Thursday, not sure. Friday, I'm not sure either. Thursday's probably going to be a look at an RPG. All depends if that physical copy of Amazing Tales comes in. Maybe we'll take a peek at that. Hey, you never know. Things change. It's like Friday. I said, hey, I'm going to be reviewing Tokyo Ghoul, the card game. And then we had a hard time figuring out if we were playing it right or not. Because if we were playing it right, we don't like it. But I want to see if I can track some stuff down to see if we're just simply playing it wrong, or is the game as lackluster as it appears to be. All right, anyway, a little shorter show than usual. Didn't have a whole lot of news to cover today. Anyway, but when you are not watching The Daily Dope, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I am off to go take a nap because it is National Napping Day, so I'll be hunkered down and catching some Z's. No, I'm not. I'm going to have to go and do all the stuff for the news and everything else. I won't be taking any naps. But hopefully you have an opportunity to maybe catch 40 winks real quickly today to celebrate Napping Day or whatever. Anyway, I will be back tomorrow. So once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you so much for watching. And as I mentioned, I'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy your Monday.